Hello and welcome back, fellow builders. We are still riding high on our Star Wars enthusiasm with The Rise of Skywalker in the theaters. And one of the things I did to prepare for the movie was I listened to the Star Wars novel Galaxy's Edge. And in that book, it's the continuation of some of the characters from the Phasma story, Vimerati, the spy, and Captain Cardinal. So after I got done with it, I gotta build me a Captain Cardinal. So how are we gonna do that? We're gonna take one of these guys and make it into this guy. All right? And I did. I went and got me another kit. They're not hard to find. Got me a First Order Stormtrooper kit. The Phasma model comes with either a plastic cape or a like a felt material. So I was going to use that cape. And basically what you got to do is just paint the dang thing red. Well, I started that process. And then I started having some problems with my airbrush. Basically, I need to rebuild my airbrush because it was leaking down my hands and everything, and I wasn't getting a consistent spray. I've got some orange peel on here, and it's spotty and splotchy. So we're going to call this build Cardinal Error, because what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to strip this paint off, and then we're going to have to turn around and repaint it. I don't have enough time. Well, okay, I don't want to wait for the new parts to come in because I've got my airbrush all broken down into all its component pieces. So all the little internals, the plastic internals in there, I'm getting new ones. I'm just getting new ones. And so instead of waiting for that to come in, I just went to the hobby shop and got some Tamiya metallic red, and we're going to start over. We're going to strip this sucker down and go from there. Strip it down. Now, the first issue I had was getting the paint off of there because I didn't have that much of my thinner, so I was looking at some other materials. So the first thing I tried was acetone. Before you try and strip anything, make sure you test a piece of the plastic on the material to see what it's going to do. The acetone basically started to eat and melt the plastic, so couldn't use that. So I had some rubbing alcohol, tried to use that. It kind of worked a little bit, didn't really. I must have done a pretty good job applying that paint because I even tried to put it in my Sonic cleaner, and that didn't even really, it did start to loosen the paint a little bit. I probably could have wet sanded it and got some of that paint off there, but I'm just going to have to go and get some more of this lacquer thinner and just soak the whole thing. So that's a small price to pay. It's just easier to paint everything on the tree, you know, you just, you're good to go. So we're just gonna have to get these pieces off here and get them stripped down and start over. So let's get that done. Just so we're on the same page on the process up to this point, get your model, open the box. Some people choose to wash their parts off just in case there's release aging on there. You take your raw parts, then you prime them. Now that it's primed, check your priming coat to make sure that your paint's going to adhere to it, make sure it's not orange peeled or whatever, and you go straight to paint. That's where my problem was. It wasn't that there was anything wrong with the paint, it's just the wrong color. I ended up going back to the hobby shop 2 more times because sometimes it's hard to tell what the paint looks like, just because the cap is supposed to represent the paint color doesn't always accurately represent the color that you're going to get out of the can. So the first color I used was metallic red. That was kind of had a gold flake in it. It would look better, and I will use it for my Iron Man, Mobius Iron Man. I still haven't built that kit. The next red I got was, to me, a mica red, and it just was just wrong. So the third red we ended up with was the gloss red, which was perfect. But how do we get that paint off? First thing I did was I went and found an old medicine bottle, and I filled it with whatever the lacquer thinner I had. So try and keep everything instruction wise. I just went through instruction section 1, which was the head. So I took the head pieces, took them off the sprue, stuck them in the bottle, shook it up, let it eat the paint off, poured it out into my tray. Then I took my little paintbrush, set it out on my tray, and scrubbed the paint off. The end result being cleaned pieces. They don't look clean, but the majority of the paint is off of them. And assembly from this point is standard operating procedure. Prime, paint, assemble. Putting the two figures side by side, you see that the Phasma figure is taller than the other one, so that gives you a definite definition. I didn't want to just take the Phasma one and paint it red, because you don't get that feel. But if you look at the cape on Phasma, it's the plastic, hard plastic cape, and it drapes over the shoulder like it should, and it's actually two pieces. It's like the back piece and then this front piece that goes over the shoulder. It also came with a one-piece felt cape. The felt cape, the way you're supposed to do it is there's the head with the knob that the helmet snaps down onto, and you feed all the little loops over it, and then you snap the head down. And what that did, it created a hump. You snap the head down and it created a hump, so the cape would go like this, and it just wouldn't drape down the body, and it would just kind of stand out in a funny way. And on top of that, her Phasma's cape drapes over the left shoulder, so I wanted it to drape over the right shoulder. Easy enough, you just flip it around the other side. It's just a flat piece of cloth, so no big deal. But in order to solve the problem of it falling right, what I ended up doing is just taking my scissors and cutting the cape into strips. And I think I even left out one or two strips because the character's smaller. You wouldn't need as much material there. So looking at them from the back, you can see where I cut the strips separately, and I got that idea kind of from the 1980s Batman cape. It's not separate, but the way the folds go in and out like that, they're just these really aggressive folds. At least on the model kit, they're just these really aggressive folds. It almost looks like separate layered pieces, and I thought, well, if I cut them up and I put them separately on the loop, then I could fan them out the way I want to, and I think it came out pretty well. And there you have it. So we took a clone trooper and turned it into Captain Cardinal. Okay, so it wasn't an overly difficult build. It was a regular build with a wrinkle. But at least we got out there and we built something. Now it's your turn to go build something. And we'll see you next time. Happy New Year. Pew 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 pew.